In 1 Corinthians chapter 14, we have begun to discuss the guidance that the Apostle Paul provided on the practice of the gift of tongues while it was still active in the church, before it, with the other miraculous sign gifts, ceased with the completion of the New Testament scriptures. So the first matter that Paul presented was the importance of edification in the use of these gifts. Today we come to the second matter, the importance of intelligibility. The problem, if I know not the meaning of the voice, as Paul writes in verse 11. So let's read in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verses 6 to 11. Now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you, except I shall speak to you either by revelation, or by knowledge, or by prophesying, or by doctrine? And even things without life-giving sound, whether pipe or harp, except they give a distinction in the sounds, how shall it be known what is piped or harped? For if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle? So likewise ye, except ye utter by the tongue words easy to be understood, how shall it be known what is spoken? For ye shall speak into the air. There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world, and none of them is without signification. Therefore, if I know not the meaning of the voice, I shall be unto him that speaketh a barbarian, and he that speaketh shall be a barbarian unto me. Recently I was reading about commercial airline crashes, and it reminded me of the deadliest accident in aviation history. That occurred on Sunday the 27th of March 1977, when 583 people perished after two jumbo jets collided on the runway at Tenerife Airport in the Canary Islands. Indeed, I actually remember hearing about that incident on the radio when it happened. I was interested to read that in the conclusion to the investigation into the disaster, it was highlighted that a major cause of the accident was mutual misunderstanding in radio communications between the crew of one of the aircraft and the air traffic controllers at the airport. It was a failure in communication. Now, this is the issue that Paul highlights in the verses that we have read. It's really important that whoever hears the message gets the meaning of it. Paul wrote, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you? In verse 6. In other words, what good will I do you if I give you no clear message? The real benefit of speaking doesn't come through speaking in tongues, but either by revelation, or by knowledge, or by prophesying, or by doctrine, also in verse 6. It is these other gifts that are more beneficial because they convey an intelligible message. Now, Paul illustrates the significance of this point. He writes about musical instruments, even things without life giving sound, whether pipe or harp, in verse 7. Instruments do not simply make a hideous noise, although some modern music is a bit like that. They play a tune. In the following verse, Paul refers to the military use of music. If the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle? Verse 8. If the army does not get the message, or if the soldiers think that it means something else, they will not take the necessary action. Intelligibility of the tune is crucial. There are many kinds of voices, that is sounds, and none of them is without signification, Paul writes in verse 10. So that's why Paul urges the Corinthians to utter by the tongue words easy to be understood in verse 9. We ought to heed that exhortation too. If I'm going to be of spiritual benefit to people, how important it is that I speak at a level or in a way that people can understand, like the Lord Jesus. Never man spoke like this man, John chapter 7, verse 46. You see, if I don't, I shall be unto him that speaketh a barbarian, verse 11. In other words, I may as well be speaking double Dutch for all the good it'll do to that person.